one of the best things about getting to airports early is the ability to try a whiskey. So far I've tried 3 different whiskies today. Not that amazing. What I find amazing is the gimmicky Game of Thrones ones. Check this one, bottom one, the Night's Watch.
I pledge my life and honour to the Night's Watch.
And it goes all the way up to sort of Greyjoy.
You're a good man.
Lannister.
The house that puts family first will always defeat the house that puts the whims and wishes of its sons and daughters first.
You know, you name it. If you're a Game of Thrones fan, they've got their whiskey here. It's basically, it's been approved by Talisker. Talisker's a good whiskey company, actually. The one I'm trying tastes a little bit like sort of Speyside whiskey. But if you've got a little bit of time on your hands in a British airport, you may as well try the whiskies. So I've arrived in Prague. It's just after 8. Now I've got my mission to get into the city and find the place where I'm staying. Hotel Admiral. Here we go. Look at this amazing place. So I've checked into my hotel. Very, very nice hotel. It's a hotel on the river. But now I'm straight out in the city because I don't have much time to spare. So as much exploring as possible. So now I've got to go get some food and explore Prague. My first beer, could be the first of many. So cheers to you guys. Voila. Thank you. Thank you. So very quiet night actually. It's a Wednesday and just had a lovely meal. This is Charles Bridge, probably the most famous bridge in all of Prague. This is where, remember Ethan Hunt had to fall off the bridge at the beginning of Mission Impossible.
Ethan.
Obviously, there's a lot more to it than that, but I'm going to tell you more about that when it's daylight. Until then, I'll keep you in suspense. So while I'm on the bridge, this is usually very busy. But this is a place that people go to. They touch this, and supposedly their wishes will come true. So if I touch this and make a wish right now, so I go, then supposedly that wish will come true. I wonder what my wish was. I can't say though. I can't tell you unless it will come true.
Abort! Do you read me? Sarah?
Hey, so I made breakfast. I think it's going to be quite difficult to be a vegetarian in the Czech Republic. Simple reason. everything on the menu that I saw last night was meat. There was one dish that wasn't meat. Breakfast, the only thing that isn't meat is the mushroom soup and some cucumbers. But we don't always have to be, when in Rome, do as the Romans do. So breakfast time. So a couple of setbacks today. I recently bought a gimbal which is supposed to sort of steady this sort of camera. It wasn't working, so I spent about an hour trying to get it to work, sadly. And now I'm sort of part way up the ascent to the monastery at the top of this park. Got noisy kids behind me, and I've just realised I forgot to hydrate. Big mistake. Always carry some water. But let's see if I can make it without the water. Oh, it's so hot up here. I've already taken my shirt off, so excuse the overexposure. And just to give you a bit of perspective on when this was filmed, there's a stream next to me here. This is April, and I've already got my shirt off. It's about 27 degrees today, which is not bad for April, really, is it? I made it without water to the top where the observatory is. I figured it would be the highest point. I'm not sure yet if I get there. Maybe I need to sort of find a better angle to sort of get a real view of the city. But at the moment there's an intense smell of just heather. I can hear a lot of bees buzzing. I'm not sure if you can hear those. Really, really peaceful up here. Highly recommend starting your trip in Prague at one of the high peaks, just to get perspective on the city. I try to do that in all the cities, and this is a prime example of it. Just the walk makes it all the worthwhile for when one's having beer later. So I've got my water, waiting to head up towards the Petrin Tower, which is just up there. It was actually built after the Eiffel Tower, so in a way it was inspired by the Eiffel Tower. And apparently it's the highest point in Prague, so a good sort of starting point to get your sort of bearings on how big the city is. Waiting to go up, a bit of a queue, as you can see. Huge queue. So apparently there's 600 steps on this, made it up to the first half of the tower. Literally takes probably 90 seconds, maybe less, to get to the first segment. This really isn't a very big tower, but as you can see, it is pretty much the highest point in all of Prague. certainly the highest viewable point. Then maybe this one might give it a bit of run for its money, but you can't really get up there. Great view though. I'm now going to head up to the next section.
Like a bird on a tree, I'm just sitting here. I got time, it's clear to see. From up here, the world seems small. We can sit together. It's so beautiful, you and me. We meant to be.
The negative about the top section, this is the top section. It's all enclosed in glass, so I can't lean out. Possibly people have tried committing suicide, who knows? Maybe people throw things off it. But the problem is, it's all enclosed in glass, very noisy because as you ascend to the top, there's less and less space. And there really isn't that much space right now to sort of move around, as you can see from the crowds. Is it worth 150? Yeah, I guess for the view it's worth 150. You know the best thing about this tower? The best thing? There's two sets of stairs. So there's one set of stairs for going up and there's another set of stairs for going down, which is great because there's a lot of towers where you have to keep passing people on the stairs, and that slows things up. It can get a bit infuriating and a little bit dangerous, but this one, very modern stairs, very easy to get up. If there was no queues, you'd probably get from the ground to the bottom. I reckon you could run it in less than 2 minutes. Probably about 3 minutes walking or so. It really isn't that high. There we go. Not that high at all. I tell a lie, there is actually one window open, pretty much this window open. Biggest crowd to try and get a picture that isn't blurred. A little bit excessive, but I think I'm going to head right down because it's a view. Send the drone up. So just at the base of Petra, the observation tower that I've just been up, is effectively a monastery, although this behind me is a mirror maze. I'm tempted, but the reality is the queues are ginormous. It's very sunny. Do I really want to be standing in the sun this long waiting to queue up for a mirror maze that was built actually at the end of the 19th century? So historically it's going to be fairly interesting. My advice, if there's less of a queue, go for it. But do you really want to be in a mirror maze with lots of people screaming, lots of people shouting? Possibly not. However, let me know how it was. It's something I'm just going to avoid. As I stomp down this hill, I'm sort of reminded of the previous trips I've had to Prague. This is not my first time. I think, if memory serves me right, and forgive me if I'm forgetting one here, this is my 4th time. I had 2 stag do's here, and to Americans that's what we call a bachelor party, bachelor weekend. And I also had sort of a romantic type weekend a long time ago. So my memory's a little bit hazy because the bachelor parties were obviously excess alcohol, a lot of alcohol, pretty much boozing the entire time. Lots of fun, including guns and you name it. Remember bath mats? Bath mats on tables is one of my vivid memories. No comment. But it reminds me of the fact that I don't really know this city that well, because spending your time in lots of bars or nice restaurants isn't really getting to know the city in its sort of full perspective. So coming up here and being surrounded by the blossom trees and walking everywhere, effectively solo, although I do have people here that I'm meeting in the evenings and stuff, which is why I didn't do too much filming last night, because I had a few beers.
You've probably had beers, Senator.
You know, you really do get the chance, and you get to come here not on a bachelor party, and you are trying to be the tourist. It's well worth it so far. I'm going to keep on exploring. You know what's ridiculous? I just realized this is my 7th time in Prague. Literally the 7th time. I completely forgot I had 3 business trips here in the early noughties. And, well, being business trips, it was sort of flying visits. You come in, you see the clients, and you leave. And it's amazing. It's amazing. Just like, if you travel for business, you can try and make as much time as possible by basically flying in on the Thursdays, having meetings on the Friday and staying for the whole weekend. But at the same time, you really got to keep coming back to these places to really appreciate just how magnificent these cities are. Or I've got to sort out my memory, because my memory is clearly being impacted by too much beer. So this is my 7th time in Prague, but it literally already feels like my first time. Just an observation, I don't know how many cities that you know basically have an orchard in the middle of the city, because what I've effectively been walking through is an orchard. These apples will probably be ripe sometime in the autumn, at the moment just sort of finishing with their blossom. But truly magnificent little park, people sitting down for picnics, people just chilling. Here I am walking through on my way to the Museum of Modern Art.
Forever free. Sometimes you need to go and take a step back to see the truth around you. From a distance you can tell.
So I'm at this Museum of Modern Art. I don't think that's the exact name. The exact name is this. 250 to get in. Although, stupidly, I didn't say I was a student. I know I'm not a student, but sometimes it's better to blag these things. It's 1:30 if you're a student. Prices obviously may change by the time you watch this. Disclaimer. Let's go and have a look. I'm at the top of the gallery. I'm not sure if I'm supposed to be up here, but I found a way. I'm on top of the roof. Is the gallery worth $250? It's a shame really, because I guess I'm spoilt being in London. The Tate Modern's free, most art galleries are free, so $250. It's about 10 euros or so, I think. But a lot of a lot of interesting Czech artists on display. What did you think? Pretty much what I showed you was sort of a selection of what was in the gallery. Anyway, onwards. Let's go see what else we can find. West side of Charles Bridge. This is Charles Bridge, the bridge I was on last night. I'm going to go over there later, but right now I'm going to go through some arches, sort of gates to the city type arches, and I'm going to head towards the castle. Very crowded. This is a very popular tourist destination right here. Up until now I avoided the crowds, and now suddenly this is where everyone is. It's a shame the KGB tour I've got to wait a long time for, so I figured I'd head back up the hill, but this time over the streets. I'm effectively in the embassy quarter. What you just saw there was the German embassy. I've walked past the American embassy. Probably not a good idea to film American embassies. There was a lot of security outside. And now just walking up the hill. Cold streets, very beautiful area. So it turns out I skipped past the monastery, so what I did was I went all the way down the hill to the Museum of Art, then I walked all the way back up the hill through the embassy quarter to get to the monasteries, and so I'm right now pretty much in the centre of the monastery. Visually I want to look around just some of the buildings, but I'm more keen to actually try the monastery beer. So the monks, obviously back in the day, had a preference for brewing beer. I mean, you would too if you were a celibate for a lifetime. You may as well make a good beer.
This is grain, which any fool can eat, but for which the Lord intended a more divine means of consumption. Let us give praise to our Maker and glory to his bounty by learning about beer.
What's unfortunate, a lot of these places you're not really allowed to film unless you want to basically pay double the price. So what I'm going to do is splice in some video or some pictures right now just to see how magnificent the interior of the library, the monks' library is. It's truly magnificent. So here's some pictures that other people took of the monks' library. It's kind of sad actually. I was coming into this restaurant simply for the green lager. Got to witness possibly the rudest waiters I've come across in a long time. Very aggressive. Made me want to walk away. So no business for me for them.
Well, fuck you. I can live my own life in my own way if I want to.
Ne, nedoběhne.
I just went on Google Maps and had a look at the reviews of the restaurant that I narrowly missed. Thankfully, I didn't spend any money there, and thankfully, I didn't waste more than a few minutes of my time. There's about 200 one-star reviews. Everyone else has had pretty much the same experience, but they still exist because they have this amazing view. This is the problem. When you hit the tourist spots, you're going to be subjected to often rude waiters, and this can go in any city, not just Prague. This is cities I can highlight. Paris, prime example.
Excellent. Brie, the brie.
Votre fille a un petit cul.
Just a little brie, yeah. And well, we'll get that later. Merci beaucoup.
Va te faire foutre.
Okay, just a little bit.
London, prime example, sometimes. Although the service is a lot better in London, I think, than in Paris. The simple reason, I know tourists can be a massive pain in the arse. Some tourists choose not to even say hello in the native language, or choose to be very rude and start shouting.
Garçon, coffee. This place.
Garçon means boy.
I get that, but there's still no excuse for rude service. Has to be said that Starbucks probably has one of the best views out of all the Starbucks in the world. I'm sure there are some mighty fine ones elsewhere. I didn't go in, too much to see, and also I'm not going to go into a Starbucks when I'm in Prague. I'm sure there's great Czech coffee. Excuse the wind. I'll turn the camera off right now. They really don't do anything in half measures. Look at the lights. This is in one of the main squares. The name begins with an N, I think. I'll put it here, whatever the name is. Forgive me. There's a lot of new names coming into my head right now, and I'm just trying to remember. This light is very impressive. Can you imagine if they did that just towns across the world? The pride people would take in their towns? Well done, the Czechs. Part of the palace is behind me just here. I've kind of walked around it on this sort of tour. I'm going to head over this way to try and get to that historical church. think I've got to go through those gates, but oh my god, it's hot. I think we've got to about 26, 27 now. I know that summertime that's not that too hot, but when you're not used to it and you're pale skinned and you've been walking around solidly since breakfast, mid-afternoon it's hot. I've got my entire square to myself. It's amazing if you go off the tourist trail, and I'm literally 50 meters off the main square that I was just in, go through the arches, you'll find you get your own square, yeah, 5 waiters, beer that's half the price. This one's 60. It's not. I know you can get it much cheaper in town, but just given how close I am to massive monuments, it's not too bad. Plus, happy music. Anyway, cheers. That's good. So I'm glad I didn't listen to the person outside. They said it costs money to get in here, but apparently it doesn't cost money. Although if you want to go right to the back, where there's no crowds, then of course you'll have to pay. But $3 or $250. It's a seriously amazing cathedral. It's on par with places like Notre Dame. We all know what happens to that. Just enjoy it while you can. No European city that I've covered would be complete without obviously an obelisk. Modern obelisk next to this amazing cathedral. Masonic again? Egyptian influences again? What is it? If you've been a follower of all my videos, you'll see that I encounter obelisks pretty much everywhere I go. There's a lot more to the symbolism than I think people give it credit for. This is very symbolic. Possibly the controllers of this place worship the obelisk rather than worship inside the cathedral. I could be wrong. Correct me in the comments or give me an idea of what you think the symbology of obelisks all over the world are. Originally first seen in Egypt, but now all over the world. Anyway. Got to try the green beer. It's not made by the monks, it's actually made by Styropramen, so there's a bit of product placement there by Styropramen. I haven't tasted it yet, this is going to be my first sip, so apparently it's just a sort of Easter thing. I'm not sure why green is associated with Easter, but I like Styropramen, so let's see. It tastes slightly different, I'm not sure what the it's basically Styropramen, but slight difference in taste. I'm not sure, maybe it's because I haven't, but it's not bad actually. Anyway, cheers. So I pretty much completed the west side of Prague. These are the old city walls right behind me, and as you can see just over there, the modern, new developed city, effectively the financial district of Prague. I'm now going to head east, cross the river. I believe I'll be heading over Charles Bridge, so the very famous, probably the most famous bridge in Prague. Probably one of the most famous bridges in the world actually. So we continue. What's nice is I'm having to walk through a vineyard in the middle of the city to get to the city. Turns out probably might not be walking over Charles Bridge because I'm kind of walking in a slightly more northern direction of Charles Bridge. But it's honestly, I'm enjoying the adventure, and I'm glad that you're still with me. Okay, while I cross this very busy bridge, this is Mainz Bridge by the way. It's either Mainz or Mans, I'm not entirely sure, maybe correct me there. And behind me is what I was referring to as Charles's Bridge, but it's actually called Legion's Bridge. Beautiful bridge. We'll be going over that again later. To get around the city is to use these Lime scooters. For some reason I've tried using the Lime bikes in London, it doesn't seem to work. I've tried just using it again here, it doesn't accept my Apple Pay. I've added another credit card, doesn't seem to work. I think some people have a little bit more luck with these things than myself. But if you can get them working, great way to get around the city, because I'm seeing people going by like this. See this? They're loving it. Jewish cemetery right behind me. No filming allowed though, so you'll just have to see it for yourselves. I finally made it onto the east side of the river. This is kind of like the main, where the old town is. This is the main square. What I'm going to do is I'm going to basically blitz this side tomorrow, because effectively this is Prague in 2 days. Last night really didn't count. I had a couple of beers.
Sometimes I had too many beers.
Today's been a full one, but I need to get back to my hotel. I need to get changed because I'm going to go out for drinks. And tomorrow I'm going to blitz this side of town, the old town, everything on the east side. Hopefully I'll manage. So best get back to the hotel. Obviously, if I see something interesting along the way, I'm going to include it. Nice, yeah. Just on my walk home, there's an Apple museum. I think that's strictly for fanboys only. The price is excessive. It's almost 20 euros to basically see a selection of old Apple computers and Apple worshipping. Don't get me wrong, I like Apple, but I'm not an Apple fanboy. And here right behind me is King Carol, also known as King Charles IV. Basically the father of the Czech Republic, although I know we're not quite called the Czech Republic anymore, Czech. They still haven't made up their mind what they want to call themselves. However, he is at the start of the bridge. Maybe they're sort of serenading him right now. And this is the bridge, but it's actually called Legion's Bridge. It's possibly one of the most phenomenal bridges in all of Europe. Well, it's certainly up there in the top 10, and it's one of the top 10 bridges you should be seeing in your lifetime. Honestly, it's amazing. I'm just going to go on this bridge now and show you a little bit what the bridge is like in daylight, as opposed to nighttime when Ethan Hawke had to almost die off the bridge in the first Mission Impossible. But let's go. Busy, yeah? Very busy. Stampede of people. This is the bridge last night that was very empty. Notice the lack of gimbals, the lack of stabilization, but that's the bridge I was walking across earlier. So I'm going to go across this bridge, make a wish again. You can make a wish also, and then head back to the hotel to recharge. See, even all those years later, I still can't avoid this song. It's constantly following me. Everywhere I go, this song gets played. Everywhere. Okay, I've left the boat. I'm now off for an evening in Prague. Just waiting for my Uber, a little bit far from me, to walk at the moment, so Uber will take me across town. I did walk 12 miles today, 27,000 steps, so still counting. Just to prove it, there's how many steps I've done already today. Right behind me is the Hotel Admiral. I want to just say thank you once again for them sorting out my accommodation. 3 nights for free. The first time that's happened in this lovely little hotel. And because it's such a nice little hotel, I ended up oversleeping today, so I haven't really got off to the productive start that I had yesterday. But the mission is obviously to see more of the east side of Prague today. Hopefully I can, well, capture as much of it as possible, because last night was a heavy one. That's the reason I overslept. A lot of Czech lager, Czech beer, and yeah, it was it turned into a hazy night, but a very enjoyable night. And I apologise, not much is captured on camera. You just simply can't. It's rude to sort of like have a camera placed up against your face, and you know, you just have to believe me. It was a good night, and the time I'm waking up kind of sort of backs that up. Anyway, onwards. I haven't done much commentary on some of the monuments I've seen so far, but this one really does stand out. This is called the Monument Palmaki, and it basically sort of illustrates a fight between heaven and hell is up sort of creeping around the edges.
If you believe that there's a hell, I don't know if you're into that, but we're already pretty much going there, right? But I'm not gonna lie down until I get there.
Really, really interesting sculpture. I mean, I guess you could sort of, in today's term, you could associate it with the regressive liberals versus those on the right. I'm not talking about the extreme right. Anyway, that was a joke, but there are similarities. Seriously impressed the church. That was the church of St. Enegitus. Excuse my pronunciation there. But one of the things that really stands out in Prague are some of the exceptional trees. This tree is just off the square from where that church was. And that is a fine sample of a tree. And I love how they clearly love this tree because they're supporting, they've got the branches supported, they don't want to cut the branches off. A lot of tree surgeons will cut those branches off, but the tree is clearly that old and that precious, they want to sort of keep it in this state. And they've also got a fence around it. One of the, I hope I included it in this video, there's a tree I saw yesterday that was, I think it was planted in the 18th century. I tried putting my arms around it. Obviously, I'm just a one-man person here, like most of the time when I'm sightseeing, so I couldn't really film me putting my arms around it, but the energy going through that tree was truly amazing. And no, I'm not a tree hugger, but yeah, maybe I was at that moment in time. But some of the trees in this city are exceptional, on par with clearly some of man's greatest buildings. Very little going on because the room was so crowded, it was pointless filming. This is the Methodist church that you just saw a moment ago, and underneath it, this doorway here is the crypt, or the entrance to the crypt. And this is where 20 Czech paratroopers hid and fought off, or attempted to fight off, over 700 Nazis during the war. The reason they hid in this crypt was they were involved in Operation Anthropoid. I could be saying that slightly wrong, but they managed to assassinate a SS trooper, a fairly significant SS officer, and they went into that crypt, and they were able to hide out for at least 20 days before, sadly, meeting their sort of demise at the hands of the Nazis. But this church hid them safely for at least a limited amount of time, and this place bore witness to their sort of standoff against the Nazis. Popular tourist destination, but extremely crowded. If you want to see it, you have to really book a tour, and very difficult to film when it's very, very, very crowded. Better than Starbucks, and actually almost as good a view. See, not bad, eh? So after a long lunch, I find the modern art statue of Kafka. It's basically next to one of the main shopping centres in the centre of Prague's new town, and it has all these panels which are constantly revolving, creating the face and putting the face out of shape. But it's quite an interesting bit of sculpture. I like it. So basically experiencing virtual reality cinema stuff. I can, interactive experience. Yeah. So that was the Museum of Film. The reason I went there, it was number 6 on things to do on TripAdvisor. I think that is a little bit high. If you don't know anything about film and how film is created, stop animation, how the colours of film work and how film began in the old days, probably very fascinating. If you've got children and you want to teach them about film, do so. But to someone that knows a lot about film, I've been a fan a long time. Nice to see, but very, very limiting exhibition. Probably not deserving of the number 6 spot. However, worth going along if you'd like to learn how the film process works.
Nobody knows that they saw it, but they did.
Nice big cock.
Time is limited today, mainly because I've been invited to have what the Czechs love to do, have some more beer.
Have some beers.
But this is the main museum behind me. Last time I was in Prague, I went here. It's a beautiful museum, really well worth the trip. If you've got a little bit of time in your hands, go check it out. But in the meantime, I'm going to head towards the main square of the old town and have a few drinks. I know, very, very uncultured of me, but I figured let's mix with some locals. So in the Czech Republic, it's not just all beer. They also do amazing wine. This is actually very good Riesling. I highly recommend it. And this man sent it to me, so thank you. Cheers. 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 So going back to the fact that I have stayed in Prague now 7 times, and yet it's still very, very new to me. It's simply because every time I stay in a city, I always try to stay in completely different places. Last time, I had a hotel that was just down that way, completely opposite side of Prague to where I'm staying now. And I think that's important. I think when you visit a city, if you get, perfect thing to do is obviously stay for as long a period as possible. Excuse the wind here. I'm trying to unmuffle it. There's a bit of breeze. I might start this again. So as I was saying before I got interrupted by the wind, sorry I don't have a wind diffuser on my microphone. Wind muffler, I mean. It's important to stay in multiple different places when you're in a city. I think I've now stayed in all little areas of Prague, but obviously in staying in all little parts of Prague, it means that you know each time you're going to kind of focus on that area, even though you might walk miles like I do, and you might take scooters or bikes, you're still going to miss parts. And that's why I think it's crucial if you're only coming for a place for a weekend, next time you visit, despite loving the place that you're staying at, try and stay on the complete opposite side of the city. And that goes, I can really vouch for that when people come to London. Try and stay in the east, try and stay in the west, try and stay in the north, the south. Every time you come, stay in a different place, and you really, you won't be missing out. And it's the same in Prague. Look at this amazing building. You can go up to the top of this if you like. Nice view. I won't be doing that. I really don't have enough time, but it's a great little view. one of the best things to do is to buy the beer from the actual market stalls, and this one is actually brewed by this man here. That's a very good beer.
I still like beer.
And it's only 45, which is it's about $2 or so. A little bit, yeah, about $2. That's cool. I like that. There's this rumor that you're not allowed to walk around with beer.
Drinking beer
In Prague. I've seen a lot of, before I came here I watched a few videos of people in Prague saying don't drink on the streets. I have to admit, I've seen a lot of people drinking on the streets. After seeing, I think, hundreds of people drink on the streets, I just went with it. I think in the designated areas where there's little tables like this, it's acceptable. But I think it's also okay to walk around the streets. Prague police, if you want to leave a comment on below and tell me I'm wrong, please don't find me though. Slovakian honey wine. It's alright.
Can't just keep taking the things out, so if you get washed out, you have to draw again. Yeah, you get a little bit if you get washed out,
Cheers. What do they say in Czech? Cheers. Nazdroví. As they say in Czech, Nazdroví. So once again, camera let me down. I went out last night. I had beers, really nice restaurants. Didn't really get to experience as much of the nightlife this time. I think it's to do with all the walking and the fact that I'm getting old. But I'm going to spice in a couple of clips just here, just to show what one of the great clubs in Prague is like. So, here's that clip. Anyway, just enjoying my breakfast, having some eggs, some toast, having some tea, having some cheeses, having some breads. Honestly, this has been a great little hotel. I can't thank the hotel staff enough. Sadly, it's been raining since all of last night, so I had 2 days of great weather, then I had solid rain all last night. It's probably one of the reasons it didn't incentivize me to hit the clubs. Plus I'm getting old. And now I gotta head back to the airport, which is slightly displeasing, but onwards until the next journey. Hey, so that pretty much brings me to the end of this video. A little bit of a washout actually on the last night. Had glorious weather for the pretty much solid 2 days. Managed to walk, I think I walked about 33, 34 miles. My legs are, I'll be honest, slightly achy. I managed to get sunburn on the back of my neck, which I won't be showing you, but it's a little bit pink. I can now join the official Redneck Club. I didn't get to experience as many breweries as I like. Every time I turn up at one, they were just overbooked, overcrowded. So I just selected the beers from nearby pubs, selected the beers in from the little markets, as you saw. But all in all, I had a great time. Prague is one of those cities which you can visit again and again, and it's well worth it. I don't just come here for the stag parties, don't just come here for romantic weekends. Come here and just be a tourist, take it all in. You will not regret it. So if you like this, click the little subscribe thing, which is somewhere around here, or it might be here. Towards the end of the video, my little picture of me will pop up. You can always click on that. Next video, I'll be in The Hague, and hopefully I'll see you there. To get notified, click on the bell, of course. And if you really liked it, give it a like, leave me a comment below, and also share. I mean, apparently there's this thing that you can do called sharing on things like Reddit and Twitter and Facebook. Please share. Always a pleasure, and until next time, keep progressing.